City, Beloit, Wisconsin. I was born November 1921.
And what kind of house did you have?
My family had a good-sized house, but it was in bad condition when they bought it. It didn't have any interior heating. You did heat it by stoves with coal and wood, etc. But it was 2 stories, so that meant the kitchen and the living room and the dining room was fairly comfortable from that kind of heat. But the upstairs was pretty cold. But we managed, got used to it, and I still like the cold. I prefer it, and I'm usually can adjust to a cold condition very, very easily. I can't really swear for a first one, but I have lots of memories going back to being a very young child. I loved cats, and I remember making use of my cats as if they were dolls. I would try to dress them, and I would wheel them around in the baby carriage, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And can I tell you one bad thing I did? The neighbor next door had a beautiful garden, and in the spring she had tulips that went all around her house, and they were so beautiful that I used to like to go over and look at them. And one day I went over with a bucket and picked up all the heads of her tulips. And that was a terrible thing. In kindergarten, my teacher's name was Miss Hanson, a very nice lady, and it was a very nice kindergarten, a nice school, and they had a swing. And at a certain time of day, if you were good and if you behaved, you got a ride on that swing. And I was a child that behaved, apparently, because I got many a swing there. I remember that swing very well. We played hide-and-go-seek, and eventually I had a little tricycle, and I could ride that everywhere. And then I always played with my cats. I mean, I went back to them. And there weren't too many children my age, so I had to play with children that were a little older when they permitted me to. They didn't always do that. The elementary school is called Gaston Elementary School. It had 1 class on every grade, and the teachers were all not married. In those days, in Wisconsin, and I think many places, married teachers were not allowed to teach, but they were very good teachers, and I think I was taught very well. I think that I got a very good elementary education. And then I went on to junior high school, which was not too far from our home, and likewise I remember having good teachers, and I remember much of what they taught me. I think I do. I met him on a summer vacation. It was just like a little lodge where young people went. It was on a lake, and it was, they had programs. It was nice. One afternoon they said they're going to have a baseball game, and the women are going to play with the men. And I was a good player. I knew how to whack that ball. I liked baseball. And I used to play sometimes in school, in the junior high, when we had a game for the girls and gym. I was a good player. So I joined that group, and there was Phil with his friend. They had come to that same place, and they watched me play, and after the game they both came up and talked to me, and that's how I met him.
Yeah. And what happened after that?
Well, should I tell the truth?
Yeah.
Okay. Both boys liked me. Phil and the other fellow, his name was Mike. But Phil was more aggressive because They both took my telephone number, but Phil called me the next week for a date, so I went out with him. And I think maybe the second date, he came and he brought me a purse. Now, it sounds a little, why did he do that? Because his friend worked in a place that made pocketbooks. And so they picked out a very nice pocketbook, and that was a gift. And I thought that was very nice. And anyhow, so Phil just pursued me, and there I was available. So that's it. We didn't have children for 5 years. And I think all the relatives thought, oh, poor things, they can't have children. Or whatever. Whatever they were thinking, I don't know. But anyhow, we decided, well, it's time. And Joyce was born December 28th, 1953. And she was adorable, so cute. I guess I must say that. But I think she was very, very cute. So Joyce was very, very good. And then you know how things are. After 3 years, you figured, oh, it's time for another one. And then came Sharon. And Sharon was born December 29th, 1956. 1 day, 3 years and 1 day later than Joyce. And she was terrific. Can I tell you something very special about her? The kindergarten teacher, when she would get new puzzles, she always said to me, she told me, she said, I always give it to Sharon to try. I want to see how long it takes. And she was such a whiz at puzzles that no kid could keep up with her. She loved puzzles. So from an early age, she was quick, very quick. Our house was across the street from a big, beautiful synagogue. We lived across the street from the back of it. And so if we sat on the porch, we could hear them davening, and we could hear the music. And if they were using the kitchen for dinner, we could even smell what they were going to serve. And it was very nice. I was very active there. Eventually, while I was working in the school, I couldn't take that active apart. But afterwards, I became very active, and eventually I became the treasurer of the synagogue. My husband died in 1998, and then after that, I thought on and off of making Aliyah, but I was really very comfortable where I was, and I had friends, and I didn't know Hebrew, so I know that would be a problem. And anyhow, it took me 7 years to finally decide, well, it's time to make Aliyah, and I think that Joyce and Sharon were part of it. So I decided that, well, okay, I took the plunge, and here I am, and I think I'm managing pretty well, although I should know Hebrew, and I don't. And I miss having a car. I don't have one. I couldn't drive it anyhow here, I'm sure. But otherwise, it's okay. Everything's okay.